The special magic of the Elven people. Blessings and peace to you ones. There have been many stories told in fairy books, in wonderful mythologies throughout the earth, in all languages, in all cultures, about the Elven people. Beings who have inhabited the earth in physical form, who were here a long time before human beings came into being. Elven people, they literally do speak to the plants, the trees, the rocks, the stones. Elven people dwell now in the worlds of light, but they lived physically, and they were not small. They've been called the little people because when they appear to people now, they appear in a sense in a form that can be comprehended by the human mind, so they will appear in the ways they do, and they often appear small, but their beings are not in fact particularly small. Many elven beings are taller than human beings. They can be in fact a bit like human beings, any shape or size. But what matters is to understand the difference between the times when the elven people were physically present and why they disappeared. What is it about the magic of the elven people that meant they had to withdraw into the realms of light in order to continue to practice their special magic? And what is their magic for? And what does it mean, that word magic? What is the purpose, the special purpose of the elven people in relation to the wholeness of earth life, of all species, all beings, and especially for you who are listening, what is this special magic of the elven people in relation to humanity? Perhaps you have already had experience of the presence of the beings of light known as the elven people. How does that presence make itself felt? Well, it is really an understanding of the deep reality of the light world. It is really an understanding of the power of love and of the extraordinary opportunity of life itself and of the nature of eternal life. Because once you enter the realms of light and decide not to incarnate, you are indeed moving into the realms of eternal life. You are no longer becoming incarnated and then leaving your body and going into the spirit realm and then returning again. In the elven realms, beings can decide to change their form when they are extremely evolved, because there is evolution in the elven realm as there is in every realm. And so from that point of view, beings do transmute, they do go into different forms when they wish to, when they need to, for their own evolution. But beings remain for thousands of years of your physical measured time in one form, and they don't necessarily change their being, although they will in that sense become mature and age and become eventually very wise, and then choose that particular form often for a long time. So they become ascended elven beings. So the magic of the elven beings is that they can change matter. So the alchemists of old studied with the elven masters how to change substances. Now the classic one that you may have heard of in the books is how to turn lead or iron into gold. And this was a particular elven magic. How did they do it? Well, actually, by melting the substance. And by bringing the substance into crystalline, melted but crystalline form, where it would flow around a lot of rock and stone, and it would, in that sense, be introduced to many elements within the earth. And so it wasn't just, shall we say, waving a magic wand, as somebody once said to me. No, it was a very intricate process of the gold being combined with other elements within the earth, and the lead or iron, because they did both, being then combined with the gold, and a transmutation taking place where those elements would turn the whole mixture now into gold. And so these tasks, if you like, that the elven beings would perform, often they assisted those old alchemists, or rather I should say alchemists of old, to understand that process. And it was a dematerialization and rematerialization process from the human alchemist point of view. They would bring all the elven beings in, they would go into an altered state, and they would then, as it were, hand over all of their work, their entire laboratory, if you like, remain in trance, and those elven people would dissolve all that substance, take it down. There would be channels to take it down inside the rock and stone. And the alchemists did not know exactly what they did, but in the morning, all that substance would be brought back up, and lo and behold, there would still be some iron and some lead, whichever they were using, but the quantity of gold would have been greatly increased. Now that quality, that ability of the elven people was when they were, in that sense, working with human beings to also educate human beings about the nature of matter. In your time, the magic of the elven beings is to help you at a spiritual, mental, and emotional level to alchemize, to transform what we could call gross thought or heavy thought, heavy feelings, and elevate them into what you could call golden thought or positive divine thought, and elevated and positive feelings. So you could say that the work of the elven beings has now changed to recognize that the gold now that people need is the gold of inner connection, of divine knowledge, of the realization of who they truly are, that they are one with the divine. That golden light of their being is who they really are. And they bring that golden light in, a bit like they did with the physical gold, and they thread it down and bring it in and help human beings to deal with the heaviness of the human condition, of duality, of pain and suffering, loss, grief, anger, despair. And they help human beings realize, right, as Chung Fu has also been talking to you, you can change that at will. You can transmute it. Everything about life is literally surrendered to your will, your intention, and we are here to help you do that. And so that is how the elven people work a lot. And those of you who are elven beings and have taken a human form, you will be working with that. And oftentimes, that is how I know an elven being, is how they are working within humanity, how they have an instinct to just keep lifting the frequency of how people are thinking, how their friends are. How is that? Why can't their friends see and just lighten up and bring the joy in? And that is how oftentimes we know the elven people who have taken human incarnation, because that propensity to lift up energy that it's just so simple. What on earth else would you do with your life? Of course you're going to lift it up. Why would you want to live in the doldrums and in negative thought forms and heavy energies? The Elven people just can't understand most of humanity that create negative situations, fight and argue and make a mess of life. They just can't understand it. And they've been doing that for a very long time. They are experts at the magic of self-transformation, self-transmutation, and the evolution of soul, of the human soul. They are the allies of human beings, and they are the teachers on the inside in the dream time. And they are also working very hard. They help the fairy folk a great deal with their work, also of rebalancing the elemental realms. And we give thanks for the magical powers of the Elven people working at this time on your earth, in your earth, and also in all your hearts and minds, especially those of you who invite them consciously in and walk with them in your life. We give thanks for all the Elven beings who come forward to work with humanity at this most critical time, and who bring their powers of alchemy, their magic, their transformation to be available for their human brothers and sisters. Blessings and peace.